and the celebration of a 12-0 perfect season. As I mentioned, it's only happened 6 times. Buckeye Nation, let's hear it for the best coach in the country, Coach Urban Meyer.
Thank you very much. Dom and I are going to do a little question and answer. Before we get going, I'm going to finish with introducing some important people. But before we introduce our players, I want to make sure that we give a nice round of applause for a group of people that moved from all over the different parts of the country. 8 of my 9 coaches came back home to the great state of Ohio. So I want you to say a big thank you to the best coaching staff in college football, our coaches. Another thank you would be to the better halves of that best coaching staff in college football, the coaching staff's wives, right over here. Now, if we're going to do that, we're going to do it right. I'd like the coaching staff's wives to please stand up so everybody can recognize you and give you a round of applause. There you go.
Well, Coach, you talk about at Michigan State, you saw something in your football team that, not sure what Brutus is doing. You saw something in your football team that you liked, and that you saw something that you thought they got it. What was that? What happened?
Well, the journey, I'm going to go ahead and take it and run with this down for a second, because I think it's real important that, that this great football team, it's not just a bunch of numbers and helmets and faces behind that helmet. I want to talk a little bit about what happened. The journey started. Ohio State's had a great tradition, great years past. A new coaching staff comes in. There's some adversity, and it's really a blind leap of faith for them to follow a brand new coaching staff and maybe doing it a little different than it's been done in the past. There was a lot of resistance. There was a lot of pushback. Guys worked hard. However, they never really played with purpose. There was a bunch of guys out there went through spring practice. To be quite honest, we were very average, to maybe below average in a lot of areas. And then our mission was real clear, and we made it clear to our players, we want to make the great state of Ohio proud. That mission was enhanced in the summer when we found out we had really something, we had purpose all of a sudden. That purpose was a great group of young men that didn't have to stay. We got hit with sanctions in December, and every one of these young men, these senior class, they could have left. They're great human beings. I wasn't quite sure. We had a meeting, and I wasn't quite sure why they stuck around. I recruited them really hard because I really didn't know them, but I wanted them back. I knew our chance to win because there's pretty good players in that class. But I really didn't quite understand why they stayed. Throughout off-season, spring practice, and summer, as we got ready to go play, I figured it out real quick. It's because this will go down as one of the great senior classes in Ohio State University history. And a team that plays without purpose is just a bunch of guys running around making mistakes, playing hard sometimes, winning games, losing games. A team with purpose and talent, that's when magical things happen. This team all of a sudden started to sense deep purpose, and that purpose was very clear: win as many games as we can for this unselfish group of seniors. And our guys did that.
They found ways to win. They showed so much grit. What was it? I mean, Coach, this is hard. 12-0 is not easy.
Well, if you go back the first 3 or 4 games, in coach speak, it was not very pretty. It was a team finding ways, once again, finding ways to win against Alabama Birmingham. We had to, Braxton had to scramble, make a play to win a game against Cal. Not a very good-looking team were in scarlet and gray that day. However, they found a way to win. Then something magical happened that I'd like to share with our student body as well. Something happened on September 29th at about 11:22 in the afternoon. We went to East Lansing, and it was there that myself, our coaching staff, and our group of players, we had a very honest conversation, and I made it clear to them, and our coaching staff made it clear to them, there's some bad stuff about to happen unless we figure this out. We start to come together, play with purpose, and we opened our hearts that day to play for one another, to play for this great university, to play for our families, but most importantly, we're playing for each other. And that's when it all changed that day in East Lansing, Michigan.
You know, there were a lot of great wins this year, but I got to ask you about one on November 24th against that team up north. Your first win as the head coach of the Buckeyes. You grew up watching these guys. You always want to beat those guys. You were quite emotional on the sidelines, weren't you, Coach?
You know, when something happened about really early in the week, we found out our heart and soul. I had a bad feeling that number 54, John Simon, there's a chance he might not play in this game. After having his best game against Wisconsin, he had 4 sacks. And later in the week, they kept telling us there's a chance. Deep in my heart, I knew something bad it wasn't going to happen. And Friday afternoon, they tried a lot of things, and it just wasn't working out. So that put a lot of pressure on our players, a lot of pressure on our coaches to overcome not our best player, our captain, our leader, not playing. The emotions went wild. Our defensive team played with purpose. Our entire team played with purpose to get John Simon that game ball.
Well, Coach, we're going to bring the seniors up here. I want to ask you real quick about John Simon. After that game, he was given the game ball. Talk about what John Simon meant to this club.
Well, John Simon, I talked to Mike Vrabel, his position coach, and unfortunately, Mike got him in really his second year of coaching and might not ever have another shot to coach a guy like that again. So if you say, what's the face of Ohio State football, this team will be forever remembered as one of the 6 teams that went undefeated. John Simon's who this football team is.